Hey there, how you going? Hope you're having a great day. Well, as you can see, I'm doing it tough here off Koh Hong Island, just off beautiful Phuket in Thailand. The weather's come good and today we're going to get into a few knots. Some might think this knotting thing with boating means you need to know a shipload of knots. Well, that's just not true. The thing is, with knots, I've managed to survive around boats for years, knowing only a handful of knots, and so can you. While there's over 4,000 different knots in existence today, we're going to show you how you can safely get by with around only 5 knots. That's right, just 5. Not 17 or 32 or 6, or just 5. And they are the bowline, the clove hitch, the sheet bend, the round turn and 2 half hitches, and the good old favourite reef knot or square knot. And this last one, the reef knot, a lot of you guys may have learned as Boy Scouts. Hope you remember how to do it. Simple, left over right and right over left. But first things first, let's take a quick walk through some basic rope technology. And here I have my rope with me. We're going to focus on just a few of the key terms used when it comes to knots and ropes. And there's the bight. The bight is any part of the rope between the ends, right? This bit. The bight is also used to refer to a curved section of a rope within a knot being tied. The working end is the active end being used to tie the knot. And the standing end, this dude here, is the end not being used in the tying of the knot. Did you get all that? Piece of cake. And I reckon we can get by with that much terminology. And you thought this was going to be hard. Well, we're trying not to make it hard. Or if you want to get lost in knots, and some of you probably will, you can knock yourself out. Because there's a ton of knot info online just waiting to chew up hours and hours of your time. So let's get into some actual knots, because that's what we're here to do. And I'm sorry about the noise in the background. That's another long-tail boat taking a bunch of tourists back to the mainland. We've got a long-tail boat just pulled up behind us with a bunch of young blokes looking like they want to have a jump off and a swim. So we're just going to wait until they go, because I don't want to find them doing some weird shit in the background while I'm trying to do this really high-tech video production for you blokes. And yes, you can probably see them back there now doing selfies and photos of their mates, having a great time. We've been here for like 2 days. None have ever stopped there. And of course just now, turned out right behind me. Stand by, I'll come back in a couple of minutes. So my backdrop's gone. Now we can get back to it. So, what we're here to do, get into some tying some knots. That's what we're here to do, that's what we're going to do. And I've got some trusty rope right here with me and we're roaring to go. So first, let's talk about the bowline. The bowline is one of the 2 most commonly used knots on a boat. A bowline is fundamentally to create a loop in the end of a rope, okay? So we're going to create one here now. So we create a loop in the line, run it up through here, around the back, down through the hole, and that is our bowline. Give a bit of a pull on that and it's going to secure. And it therefore creates a loop, okay? It's a loop that can go around our winch to hang on to something. It's also a loop that we're going to be showing you how to use shortly in mooring your boat, tying off on a dock or a jetty, those types of things. So the thing with a bowline is it will not slip or jam, even under strain, but it can easily be loosened with just one finger. And that's just by taking this line, pulling it back, and it all comes undone, okay? So doing that one more time. Simple loop, like so. Bear in mind, I'm left-handed too, so I'm probably really going to upset the apple cart here. But simple loop, up through the loop, around the back, thusly, back down through the loop, and there you go. Okay, that's your bowline. Great knot, easy to unlock, can take a hell of a load, and if you want to Google it, I found some people who are basically doing bow lines single-handed in about 1.5 seconds by just spinning their friggin' hands around. It's it's magic or they're aliens or something. And again, we'll create this small loop, thusly. We'll bring the working end up through the loop, go around the back down through the loop, and that's our bowline done. Some will have a story about a friggin' rabbit coming up and down a hole around a tree and all that bullshit, but let's just tie the knot, all right? That's all we want to do. And that's what we've done. That's a bowline. You can place it around cleats to moor your vessel, and even after a heavy load, the knots can be undone, as I was saying before, just with the simple undoing thusly. Okay? So grab some rope, get some practice tying shit up, the dog, the kids, the wife, whatever you like, and away we go from there. The next knot we're going to do is a clove hitch, and it's pretty simple, and it's the other of the two most commonly used knots on a boat. It's easy to do, it will carry a load, and it's relatively safe and secure, and it's relatively easy to undo as well. The clove hitch is simply two half hitches back to back. So that is one half hitch, another half hitch, and away we go. That was a bit of a fucked up way of showing you. I'm going to tie off on the rail here. We give one wrap around like so. Then the second half hitch goes over the back, like that. Okay? Give a tight pull on each standing end, and the knot is complete and secure. You'll see it sits there okay. To release, we simply work the lines back in towards each other to the knot center, and all being well, it should unlock and release very simply. So it's one wrap around, the other half hitch goes around the back. That's your clove hitch. And the clove hitch does have two faults though. It can bind if the load is too strong and the rope is too light, and it can slip depending on the material you're tying off to. Like here on this stainless, it may tend to slip if the line's too light, okay? And if we have a look around the cockpit here, what I'm looking at, yes, I've got a cluster of rope here and it's around a winch, but most of the knots that are around the boat here, tying off the, I've got a boom tent up covering the deck to give us some shade, and that is tied off with a whole series of clove hitches. What I'm seeing around the deck here, bowline, clove hitch, that's about it. Next is the sheet bend. I'll need to undo my clove hitch here. The sheet bend is a bend, which is a type or family of knot. I need both ends for this particular job. It is excellent for joining lines of different diameter or rigidity, and it's quick and easy to tie. Its structure is the same as a bowline, but the purposes of the two knots is vastly different. The bowline forms a loop in the end of a rope, while the sheet bend joins two ropes. And this is what a sheet bend looks like. Again, I'm left-handed, so I'm probably going to do it all ass about face. But that is a sheet bend. And you'll see on this side here, vast similarities to the bowline. So that's the sheet bend. We'll do it one more time. You can Google these and do them yourself, but I'm just trying to help you understand which knots are the most commonly used. Up through there. You might do some variations in this, but the end result just needs to be the same. And that's our sheet bend. Can take a fair bit of a load and can still be unlocked. Next up is a round turn and two half hitches. The round turn and two half hitches is a hitch, another family or group of knots, used to secure the end of a rope to a fixed object. The name refers to the components used to form the knot. A round turn wraps the rope around the fixed object, and the two half hitches is what secures the end around the standing part. Okay? Very friggin' technical. But let's just do one here. So a round turn, we go around here a couple of times, and then two half hitches. One and two. Oops, one and two. There's our half hitches, or effectively a clove hitch, but that will secure, but allows the rope itself to move quite freely, and it's perfect for fenders, okay? So that's the round turn and two half hitches. We'll do it again. We go around and around, one half hitch, probably can't see that from there, but one half hitch, two half hitches, job done. Can freely move but won't go anywhere and will stay awfully secure. Round turn, 2 half hitches. Last but not least is the reef knot or the square knot. And for those of you that were Boy Scouts, you probably learnt this a long time ago. The reef knot is typically used to tie the two ends of a single rope together such that they'll secure something. For example, a bundle of objects that is unlikely to move much, all right? And in addition to being used by sailors for reefing and furling sails, it is also one of the key knots used in macrame. This is being a hobby you can do while sailing about the place. So with the reef knot, it's just a simple left over right, right over left. I've remembered that since I was a Boy Scout. Pull it tight, away you go. There's your reef knot or your square knot. We'll do that one more time. Again, I'm left-handed, so it's a bit back to front. But left over right and around, and then right over left, reef knot is done. And it too unlocks reasonably easily as long as there's not too much of a load on it. And that, my friends, is pretty much all you need to know about knots for now. You master these few knots and you'll be on your way to safer, more enjoyable boating. Not that hard, it's not that tricky. Before we finish, there's one more knot I'd like to share with you, and it's a pretty important one too. It's called a cleat hitch. And by the way, a cleat is the term used for the gadget we usually use to tie off our boat to a marina pen, dock or jetty with. And this is a pretty simple hitch, but it's a pretty important one too. Important to be able to secure it quickly, and equally important to be able to unhitch it quickly. So let's take a look at a cleat hitch. First, what I'm going to do is go back and create a bowline. As we went before, little loop, up through the doodad, round the back down again. There's our bowline. What I'm going to have to do now is just have to move and find a easily accessible cleat so we can demonstrate the use of tying off a cleat. So as you can see, here is our cleat. I'm just knocking up another bowline here to do a simple demonstration before we show you how to use the cleat with your hitch, your cleat hitch. Got to be careful of that tongue twister. So normally to tie off, you would run your mooring line through the eye of the cleat, back over each finger. That way, if you can see how that's working there, that is never going to come loose. So we'll do it the other way as well. So your mooring line would be coming in from the dock. You would come through over each end, and that's the best way to secure your mooring line to your cleat at this end, at the boat end or the secure end. Of course, there are instances where you might want to secure off to the dock, but leave that to your discretion. That's the use of the bow line on the cleat anyway. The other way to use this is, let's just assume that our mooring line, I'm getting myself in a tangle here, the mooring line's come in to the boat and I want to secure it. And this is either to the cleat on the dock or the cleat that's on the boat. Doesn't really matter, it's a cleat hitch. So it comes around, usually around the back of the cleat first, and it just figure eights over the top of the cleat like that a number of times, and then we finish off with a half hitch and a half hitch, and that will never ever go anywhere. Okay, the last thing we want to do is neatly coil up any excess line that we've got, whether it's on the boat or on the dock, so that no one gets tangled up or twisted. The other beauty of this particular cleat hitch is it unhitches really easily and can take a hell of a load. All right, so just one more time. The line comes, and this cleat can be either on the dock or the boat, so the line comes in this instance onto the boat. We take it round the back of the cleat, figure eights over the top a number of times, then half hitch, neaten her up, go and have a beer. You've well deserved it. So that's your cleat hitch, along with a few others. And as I say, when you're done, keep everything nice and neat, keep all the loose ends nice and neat so no one gets tripped up or falls over them. And if you can focus on being able to, one, know when to use one of these knots, and two, actually be able to do them, you're streets ahead of the rest. And ideally try and learn to do them with your eyes closed. But that just takes practice, practice, practice. That's all it takes. Go back to your dogs, to your kids, to your wife, use your rope tricks on them, and before you know it, you'll be an absolute master. And you know the drill. If you have any questions, drop me a line. No pun intended, but drop me a line. We're here to help and happy to do so in any way that we can. So have a great day, and I hope to see you on the water real soon.